Welcome to our channel.
In this video, we will continue exploring the fascinating topic of free will.
Specifically, we will delve into the theory of compatibilism, the philosophical view according to which free will can still exist in a deterministic world. In groundbreaking research conducted in the 1980s, Benjamin Libet, a pioneering neuroscientist, investigated the timing of conscious decision-making in the brain. He attached electrodes to participants' scalps to measure the electrical activity in their brains while they performed voluntary actions, such as tapping their fingers.
Libet's study revealed a striking finding.
Our brains prepare to execute a voluntary action before we are aware of our conscious intention to act.
What does this mean for our sense of agency and control over our actions?
Can we still claim to have free will if our decisions seem to be predetermined by our biology?
These are profound questions that have puzzled philosophers and scientists for centuries.
In this video, we will explore the compatibilist view of free will that can reconcile determinism and agency, and provide a roadmap for how we can rescue free will in a deterministic world. If you're curious about the mystery of free will and want to challenge your assumptions about human behavior, then stay tuned for this thought-provoking episode. In the last video, we talked about the libertarian view of free will. According to this view, humans have free will and determinism is not true. However, libertarians do not deny that most of the physical world is governed by the laws of nature.
No libertarian philosopher believes that humans are able to fly by themselves if they decide to fly. The existence of social or physical constraints is not the issue for them.
With something else they have a beef with. First of all, being able to choose is not the same as being physically able to do something. No matter if you choose to fly or not, propelled by your own body, and by the way, we strongly recommend do not.
You would still not be able to fly, because, surprise, the laws of physics would not let you fly. However, what sets libertarians apart is that they give humans a special, fantastic power, the power of free will, the power of choosing.
Libertarians believe that there is a mysterious mechanism inside our brain, a tiny wizard who has no rest, who allows us to make decisions autonomously, influenced but not caused by our physical and emotional state. That sounds to some of us like believing in fairy tales.
Are human beings an anomaly of nature?
Does not this imply a supernatural power not grounded in what we know about nature? And how can we embrace such a libertarian view if there is no solid scientific evidence for it?
What we know from science is that what happens in nature is caused by physical laws.
Are not animals and humans a part of nature?
Is not our brain composed of particles governed by the laws of physics?
Some may argue that quantum mechanics might be a gate to human free will.
But random events are not caused by you. They are caused by nothing. For science, the entire world is deterministic, influenced by random jumps which do not affect the events on the macro level. The libertarian view has been challenged by evidence that shows strong correlations between our decisions and our brain states.
For example, take the experiment of Libet, briefly described at the beginning of this video, that demonstrates a causal relationship between brain states and decisions. Our decisions are pushed from the inside by factors over which we do not have control. This experiment negates the libertarian belief that our free will decisions are not caused by internal factors, and it shows that our agency does not have power to come with a decision out of nothing through its own power.
According to the deterministic point of view, libertarians are contradicting well-established science. They are denying scientific evidence.
But then, if your agency has no power to take decisions out of the blue, can you be responsible for your actions? And where is your free will?
In answering such important questions, the determinist camp is split in two. On one side, we have the soft determinists or compatibilists. They believe that humans have no free will in spite of the fact they believe as well in determinism. And on another side, we have the hard determinist. For those, determinism is true, and we do not have free will.
Hard determinism seems easier to understand, as it simply suggests that we are just a kind of mechanism in a physical world. By contrast, soft determinism seems puzzling because it suggests that everything is determined, yet we can still have free will and be morally responsible.
A survey from the year 2020 found that 59% of philosophers nowadays accept compatibilism. It is very worth trying to learn more about the compatibilism view, and this is exactly what this video tries to address. According to the classical compatibilist view, determinism is consistent with free will as long as the cause of a person's actions is within her control, and the person is acting freely, meaning without coercion or external constraints.
But from where such control can come?
Honestly said, this is not an easy question, and how could it be? And, to make matters worse, compatibilists do not agree with each other on this. There are many types of compatibilism and many different types of divisions. One division of compatibilists has to do with the principle of alternative possibilities.
The principle of alternative possibilities implies that in order for an action to be free, an agent has to have been able to do something other than what she has done. Also, an agent is morally responsible for what she does only if she can do otherwise. Some compatibilists deny this principle and some accept it, believing that the kind of control we have allows us to choose between different possible futures. The compatibilists who accept this principle allow a control function that has the power to modulate our behavior, guaranteeing us the existence of free will.
For example, in the controversial experiment of Libet, there are still 200 milliseconds between being aware of our intention and the act itself.
So according to some, there might be a very small room for free will in the sense of the capacity to veto an action, meaning the capacity to give green light to an action or to shut it down. Therefore, even though the initiation of the movement was not the result of conscious will, its veto resulted from conscious will. This argument has not attracted great interest, but was supported by some eminent free will philosophers such as Robert Caine. Libet himself continued to believe in free will after the experiment. Our mental state is determined by our brain state, and free will might be only the capacity to veto an upcoming action. Thus, it has a control function, with the capacity to shut down an action. At least two types of futures can be created based on a single event. Many compatibilists believe both in determinism and the idea of regulative control. This view is also called the new dispositionalism.
However, there are cases when there is no phase of awareness before the action, when we act out of a compulsive psychological impulse.
In these cases, we do not have control. We are not performing a so-called free action. For an action to be free, it must not be caused by an inner compulsion or by an external event. Then, we have the other types of compatibilists. Those compatibilists who reject the principle of alternate possibilities think that really everything is determined. The past determines the future, and there is no way things would have played out any other way than they did. And if you regret a past event, for example, saying bad words to a close one, your regret is not well-founded, as you just couldn't help but feel and react the way you did at that time. And, surprisingly, those compatibilists who deny the principle of alternative possibilities still believe in free will, and they say you are morally responsible for all your actions. All your actions are totally predetermined and you still have free will. How can they say so? Harry Frankfurt was one of the main philosophers who challenged the principle of alternative possibilities, considering that an agent is still responsible even if he couldn't have done otherwise. These types of situations are called Frankfurt cases. Frankfurt considered that you are responsible for your past actions because you did what you wanted to do, even though you could not have done otherwise. In compatibilism, you can be responsible even if you could not have done otherwise, as long as those choices come from within yourself.
You are your conscious mind in the same way you are the subconscious and unconscious activities of your brain. And you are responsible for all the actions you do, even if your actions are totally determined by causes you do not have control of. If your action is so-called free, if it is not caused by external events or inner compulsions, it will still be caused by your desires, which come from your subconscious mind, which is still yours.
And if there is a kind of control in human behavior, this capacity of control is also totally determined by your biology. It sounds spooky, but you have no control over your capacity of control. According to the consequence argument, if you have no control over the past or the laws of nature, and you don't, according to determinism, you cannot have any power over the future. Thus, there is only one future and you cannot change it, no matter what you decide right now, because your decision is also predetermined. However, we are still morally responsible for our free actions as long as it was in our potential power to act in one way or another, no matter if we couldn't have acted differently than how we acted. You can physically go to your car right now and start driving exceeding the legal speed limit. Your biology and your mental state will dictate what exact action you take, but you will still be responsible for your action because you did what you wanted to do. Thus, even if the capacity to do otherwise does not exist, you are still free to do what you want in the absence of external impediments or internal involuntary compulsions. And you are morally responsible for what you choose to do. Apart from the classification of different compatibilist views regarding the principle of alternative possibilities, there are some contemporary compatibilist views worth mentioning,
like the Hierarchical Compatibilism, the Reason view, the Reasons-Response Compatibilism, and the Strawsonian Compatibilism. In Hierarchical Compatibilism, developed by Harry Frankfurt, there are different levels of determination that may influence our behavior. But this does not necessarily negate our free will. Frankfurt distinguishes between first-order and second-order desires.
An example of hierarchical compatibilism in daily life could be a person who has a strong desire to eat junk food, but also has a desire to stay healthy. The person's higher-order desire to stay healthy can override their lower-order desire to eat junk food. The more free will we have, the more we can act according to our higher-order desires. Another contemporary compatibilism is the reason view developed by Susan Wolf. For Wolf, free will consists of acting in accordance with reason, with full knowledge of what means true and good. Basically, we are free when we do the right thing and unfree, meaning slaves to our desires and passions, when we do the wrong thing. You are free when you know what is good and bad and act based on your reason, but you are not free when you just follow your desires and passions. Another recent compatibilist view is the Reasons-Response Compatibilism, addressed especially by Fisher, but also by others, like Daniel Dennett. The main idea is that the agents who are unresponsive to appropriate rational considerations, such as compulsives or neurotics, do not act of their own free will.
But agents who are responsive to some rational considerations have free will.
If you are in complete possession of normal reasoning faculties, then you have free will, as you are able to act following your reasoning. By contrast, if you suffer from a mental illness, you are not free, as your compulsions will override your reasoning faculties.
Strawsonian Compatibilism, another recent compatibilist view, is related to the work of the philosopher Strawson, and is a merit-based compatibilism in which reactive attitudes are based on the perception of a person's goodwill.
Basically, moral responsibility is associated with the reactions of those within the moral community to members of the community. This is because moral responsibility is strongly connected to social expectations. We would have different concepts of good and evil if we were born in a different culture and our community there had different expectations of us. Our moral system is predetermined, but we are still considered free and responsible for our actions, and that responsibility is connected to the social expectations of our community.
Responsibility is a kind of social interface.
In conclusion, which type of compatibilism is the most appealing to you? Is compatibilism the best solution to harmonize our common sense on free will and moral responsibility with the latest scientific findings? But is this compromise on everything the right approach? Oftentimes, compatibilism is mocked by hard determinists who don't believe in free will. Hard determinists say that compatibilists or soft determinists represent the human being as a puppet that is free as long as it loves its strings. But without being called free, most likely human beings would not be able to be praised or blamed. They would not carry any moral responsibility. And how can a society function in the absence of assigning any moral responsibility to anyone? How would we judge and condemn the wrongdoers? This kind of question we will address in the following episodes. Let us know in the comments below what you think about the compatibilist view on free will, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Hyper Sophia,
To see the next episodes. See you soon.